Alrighty, good morning, everybody. Thanks again for joining us on a Tuesday after the Memorial Day holiday here in the U.S. We hope that everyone enjoyed themselves. We hope that everyone is staying safe. My name is Michael Pirelli. I'm the marketing director here at Direct Color Systems. I also am joined by Kyle Bolduck, who is our application specialist, who I will turn the floor over to momentarily. We do thank the entire team at Digital Color Inc. for putting this session on today. We're always happy to assist where we can, and it's a demo that we're excited about. Joined on the call from Digital Color is Quinn Stewart. So Quinn, I don't know if you want to unmic yourself, just say good morning to the crowd, and then we can get started.
Sure. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Like Michael said, we hope you're staying safe and you had a great long Memorial Day weekend. My name is Quinn. I'm the Content Marketing Manager at Digital Color Inc. I'm joined today with Michael Pirelli, and Applications Specialist Kyle Bolduck over at Direct Color Systems, who'll be discussing value-added printing with their line of I believe it's F6T edition UV printers. So I'm really looking forward to showing you what these printers can do. Really quickly, if you have any questions during the webinar, please don't hesitate to submit your questions via the Q&A button on your Zoom toolbar. I believe it's a little gray button, and we'll get to them as the session progresses. So without any further delay, I'll turn it over to you, Michael and Kyle.
Thank you, Quinn. We appreciate it. As Quinn did mention, we do have everybody on mute, so please do not hold back any questions to the end of the session. We always like to field questions as they are relevant. If you need us to go back and double check anything or explain something again, please just let us know. We'd be happy to ensure that we do that. We want folks to understand, and be armed with all of the information needed to not only become just further educated on the equipment, but also to understand the features and benefits and how they relate to your business. So during today's session, not only are we trying to show you guys all of the wonderful things that you can do with the UV printer, so think versatility. We'll specifically highlight that by quickly printing some promotional items, and today we'll print some coasters. Then we'll jump back into the software and we'll show you how easy it is to produce what we call texture 3D. And we'll get into the reason why we call it texture 3D and just not textured printing, because there is a difference there, and it's something that makes the line of DCS printing unique. So today's agenda is, we'll cover the printers themselves. For the folks on the call who aren't familiar with Direct Color Systems, I'll provide a brief introduction. We'll talk about the benefits of UV printing as they relate to other decoration methods. Then we will get into the printing aspect of it, right? Like I mentioned before, we will print promo items, and we'll print what we call our Texture 3D application. We'll both cover the software and how to do so, and then we'll also cut to the full video so you guys can see it printing. During that, we will show some ROI examples, and then Kyle also has some other samples that we can show on the camera that will just help facilitate the conversation and show you guys some of the cool things that the printers can do. Then we'll end up the session with about running through a bunch of photos, and that's just a way to say, oh, that's cool. Oh, I knew you can do that, things like that. So if you do have any questions, there are plenty of opportunities here to send them in. And then we hope as we go through with not only the ROI examples, the printing, but also the sample photos, that should really get the creative wheels spinning a little bit. So if you do have any questions, even if they're kind of out of this world, again, fire them in with the people that we have on the call. We should be able to answer them to you. If for whatever reason we can't, I have the email addresses from the registration report, and I'd be happy to follow up after the session. So right now on the screen, everyone should see the a Direct Color Systems graphic. On the left, we have our larger, what we call our mid-format UV printer. Okay. On the right is the unit we'll be covering today, which is the 1800S model. All right, the 1800S model is a 12-inch by 24-inch print area. It comes in multiple height clearances. Today we'll be highlighting the 6-inch height clearance, right? So it's the 1800S 15. It is available in 2 different ink sets. All right, our IR2 ink, which is our rigid ink, and then our flex ink, which we call F6T. We will be highlighting the flexible ink today because that is the most versatile ink set, because that opens the opportunity to print on flexible items like wallets or garments like your Nike Pro shirts, or we'll show you some jerseys in a little bit. So it opens up a wide range of options. All right, that graphic kind of in the center there, the one machine prints it all, directly relates to the 1800S line of printers, complete with the F6 ink. All right, because those printers can print your Braille signs, can print your shirts, and can print your bottles. All right, and we'll get into that in more detail momentarily. All of the machines are CMYK. all right? And they have white and clear. So in the case of the 1800S, CMYK capability, 2 channels of clear, 2 channels of white. The white ink circulation system manages your white ink for you. So that circulates the white ink for 2 minutes every 10 minutes. A little bit out of view, not only on the photo, but on the video feed is a touchscreen control panel on the side of the unit. That gives you your on-demand printer status, that gives you your ink levels, that gives you table left-right movement, print engine up, down, and some other features like contact information and things like that. On the back side of the machine is a complete bulk ink system, 650 milliliter injection molded ink tanks, again by color, so CMYK, white and clear, and those allow you to refill those tanks. So no longer are you wasting ink in cartridges, no longer are you having to shake cartridges. This is a completely refillable bulk ink system on the back of all of the units, okay? And in the case of the 1800S, again, those are injection molded tanks on the back side of the machine. So when we flashed up the description of today's session, we talked about the versatility of the machine. And one of the main themes or points of focus that we always try to highlight anytime we do a session like this, anytime we do an educational session at a trade show, or anytime we write content for a publication, is the fact that we'd like to always highlight all of the wonderful things that a printer owner can produce with a UV printer. And it comes down to one simple fact. Customers can do more with the UV printer, and specifically the UV printer when it's equipped with the Flex ink, okay, the F6T ink. You will not find a machine on the floor of a trade show that can print Braille signs, water bottles, promo items, and t-shirts all on one singular machine. So with that, you can develop more applications, produce more products, and the goal is to always increase profits. DCS, right? DCS is a printer manufacturer based in Rocky Hill, Connecticut. Our goal is to help customers become more profitable. And you see a lot of the items there that kind of make us unique. When we talk about inline printing, it's the ability to print white and color simultaneously. Texture 3D we'll get into in a little bit. We also have 3 patents on the ADA Braille process. So if you're ever interested in seeing something like that, please check out our website. There's plenty of videos on there that highlight that application. And then you see some of the other items there. All right, DCS has been in business since 1997. There's our building on the bottom left. We sell direct in the US and Canada, and then around the world, in other countries, we sell through distributors. I believe we have about 40 distributors worldwide, and in areas that we don't, we would sell direct through our group in Portugal, okay? We have a group based in Porto, Portugal, that not only manages the distributors, but they'll sell direct into areas where we don't have distributors around the world. All right. So all of the manufacturing, the engineering, the marketing, the front office staff, customer service, tech support, all of those types of things are based out of our headquarters in Rocky Hill, Connecticut.
Sorry, if I may, we have one question open. You mentioned Flex inks. What are the other choices for ink? What are the benefits of each?
Okay, so today we'll be highlighting the Flex ink, right? So that's our F6T ink. That ink can not only print to rigid materials, but it can also print to your flexible items. So think wallets, shirts, belts, football pants, things like that. There are items during our testing where sometimes it's not always so much a flexible application as it is to, it just has a slight curve to it where the F6T ink will prove to be more valuable. The other ink set that we have is our IR2 ink, which is a more rigid ink, okay? That ink cannot print on flexible items. It's more rigid in terms of you can print any color Braille dot, you can mark your industrial parts with high durability resistance, and you can you can produce the texture 3D application a little bit higher. All right, so basically what it comes down to, the flexible ink can do all of those items, can't do your texture quite as high, and can't print every color Braille dot. All right, on the Flex ink, it has to be a clear dot. But the great opportunity there is it opens up all the flexible options and the items that have a slight curve to them and things like that that after printing would need to be affixed into a case or fabricated into something where it had a slight bend to it. Right, so think flexible inks, rigid ink, signs, any color Braille dot, high texture, high level of durability resistance. So those are just some of the differences. What we recommend folks doing, if it's ever not so cut and dry in terms of the ink that they should select for their printer, we would always recommend getting samples printed. All right, then we can produce samples with both sets of ink, and that will allow us to give you multiple options for you to test to see what option works best. So I hope I answered that kind of in a roundabout way there, but if there are any other questions, feel free to let us know and we'll be happy to answer them for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem. On the screen right now, you just see a quick little list of popular decorating methods, right? So a lot of folks might be familiar with pad printing or screen printing or UV printing or two of the three or all three, right? All of the decoration methods do have their place. They will continue to have their place. UV printing, as we mentioned already, is the most versatile, and we'll cover some of the benefits of being able to print to UV. So with a completely digital process, again, for folks who aren't so familiar with UV printing, we have the CMYK white ink clear inks that we mentioned before. The ink is jetted through a printhead and it's cured instantaneously on the surface of the material by the UV lamp that's attached to the printhead. All right, so that cures to the surface of the material. All right, it's a completely digital process, so you don't have the setups, right? You're setting up your art file in the software and the ink is, again, being deposited to the surface of the material. With the CMYK, we have full color range, right? And the key there is gradients. No extra setups for those colors, very easy to accomplish. So creative freedom is kind of opened in terms of what you can do with logos, what you can do with photos, things like that. Completely set up for variable data. So think names, jersey numbers, things like that. Really translates well to plaques, awards, signage, things like that. We have a completely non-contact process. So as I mentioned, we are jetting a curable ink through the printhead onto the surface of the material. So it's non-contact, so you can print on very delicate parts. We have printers into the medical field that allow us to imprint very delicate parts that can't be imprinted with any other method. All right, and what you'll see today, not only are we switching between applications where we're going from promo items to kind of a sign blank, but if you watch any of the other demos that we have online, you'll see how easy it is to go from promo items like coasters to bottles, promo items like coasters or flash drives to shirts and then to bottles. It's very easy, and it usually takes no longer than a minute or two to go from a completely different set of products from one to the other. We've talked about the UV ink a few times, right? Both, whether it's the Flex ink or the Ridge ink, which you see in the second bullet there, both of them are pigmented inks and they're UV stable. All right. You can add a layer of clear ink on top to help with durability in the case that you needed it. We do have some customers that do that. We also have some customers that will add clear ink as a base layer to help with adhesion instead of using an adhesion promoter. All right. There are many products out there that don't require an adhesion promoter. The products we're printing to today don't. Many of the bottles that we print to do not. All right. Again, when I mentioned before, if you're looking to analyze the output of the two sets of ink, get samples done. Ask the manufacturer to provide you some of that information. Walking around a show, listening to a session, understanding how fast a machine can print, that's great. Maybe that speed that they're talking about doesn't fit with your business. Features are features, right? And everyone lists them. The biggest thing that we hope a session like this does is it positions the benefits in an easy to understand format. So you can take the benefits and understand how they relate to your business, because the benefits will be different to each and every company and to each and every user. So getting samples done, understanding the process, understanding the steps, understanding the time and the ink cost for it really allows you to just take that, plug and play, and see how it fits into your business. That's how you make an educated decision. And that's how we hope that these sessions are received. So again, if you guys do have any questions, if there's anything pointed to your business, please don't hesitate to let us know. We'd be happy to answer it. Chances are we may have dealt with it in the past. Again, if not, we can always go back to our product management team, our customer service team, and we'll make sure that you get an answer so you can make that educated buying decision. So with that, we quickly kind of covered the benefits of the UV printer. Kind of covered, again, the 1800S, which is a 12-inch by 24-inch print area with a 6-inch height clearance. I'm going to cut the floor over to Kyle Bolduck, who is at DCS headquarters right now. He will man the 1800S printer for us. And let me stop sharing my screen. Kyle, I will ask for you to unmute yourselves. I'll also remind folks on the call, if you need to see Kyle's screen or you want to jump back out to the video screen, just simply navigate to Kyle's screen, which will either be at the top or the right-hand side of your screen, all right? And I meant Kyle's video feed. You can double-click that to enlarge the video feed at any time. So without further ado, Kyle, go ahead and unmute yourself. I'll turn the floor over to you, and I'm here to answer any questions or kind of add some information as we go along here.
All right, guys, so the file we're printing today are going to be 4 coasters going along the top of our bed. To get these coasters in here, I did make circles, so I have an outline of where to put them on the bed. So if you guys can see, I know the video feed's a little smaller for you, but in the video feed, you should see at least a pink mat on the table of the printer. That's what we actually print the outline to, for then us to go in and place the coasters. So before I just jump into the art real quick, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen just to lay down the coasters, then I'll share my screen out again. So we're just printing these circles here.
Now, this is an easy way to line up products. Kyle will show you a quick little tip to how to hold products if you're not going into full production. Remember, we have a completely digital process, so doing and producing 4 coasters, 10 coasters, 15 coasters, a bed full of coasters, this might be the most economical way for you. You know, clay can help hold a material. You'd be surprised, a lot of these coasters tend to come in with they're not always the flattest material. If you are going into high volume production on a specific application, we would recommend making a jig or a fixture. And at that point, we can provide the machined holes on the table. It allows you to zip a couple pins into your jig so you have accurate placement every single time. Whether you're using a laser from any of the popular laser manufacturers around, you can take the laser file, you can input it into the ColorBite software. As Kyle is doing that, I will make mention that the ColorBite software that Kyle just quickly showed, where he had the circles and the art file set up, that software does come included with the machine. All right, so the ability to produce coasters, some of your flat signage, that portion of the software is standard issue. Later in the program, when we show how easy it is to do the texture 3D application and print texture 3D elements, that is an added software, and we'll cover that when we get to it. So again, it's ColorBite software. It is included with the machine, as well as training and installation.
So I am just raising the engine, and I'm lowering the engine onto our piece because there's actually a height sensor to pick up the highest part of your material that you're printing to.
Really quickly, is there any way that customers can get a printed sample of these so that they can get a feel for the product?
Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
Printed samples can be made through the team at Digital Color, and then they can contact us, and we can ensure that we get the samples out to you. Or, you know, if you're ever stuck in a pinch and you just need to fire off an email, you should have all of our email addresses via the event reminders for today's session. So whether it's through email or whether it's through the form, you know, on the Digital Color site, we'll ensure that we get you guys the samples that you need. Just let us know. We have full stock capabilities. If there's anything that's needed on the custom side of things, just let us know, and as a team, we'll make sure that we print those samples for you with your art files on your materials.
Absolutely, thank you.
So to get those outlined on the bed, I just measured the coaster, came over to our toolbar over here to the left, clicked on circle, and now I can create the dimensions up here, length and width. If that was an oval, we could do that too. So as you see, it comes in full. To create an outline on that, there's 3 different line styles you can use. So we'll go back over to our tools, see stroke and fill tools, line style. By default, any shape you have, it's gonna have no line, but for this example, we're gonna wanna have a hairline. So now I applied a hairline. The left click will be your fill color, and right click will be your outline color. So as you see from that palette that I just clicked from, we have a full color palette. If you're working with something or a specific file, you want to change the color to match a Pantone color, you can double left click on this box up top and change the CMYK values as you need to, add it to your palette, save your file, then you have it for the future, so you don't have to constantly recreate new colors. But that's how we got our file in there. As you see, we already have something created. If you had something that you wanted to bring in that someone sent to you, you would simply go to File Import and navigate to wherever that file is. If it's a JPEG, EPS, AI file, those will all work in here. So next step to go, again, this is something that was created before, but if you had a specific font you wanted to use, you can come over to this text tool, click somewhere and do test. So it comes in as Braille. That's what I had it selected on for last. I'll just make that Arial. And now we can make whatever font we want. And again, same thing applies for the font. You can change color down there.
And as I mentioned earlier, guys, with variable data, it's called a badge function. You have the ability to import, variable text, stuff like that, and you could stylize it accordingly. This is the front end of the software, so this is the design portion. Momentarily, Kyle will send that over to what we call the RIP, which is the portion that communicates with the printer.
Yep. So now I'm just going to select the file inside. So I already had grouped these beforehand, so they'll all come in together. Just left click, go to File, Send to RIP. And we'll send this over to the 1800S IR2 default print mode here. And you're going to select OK. And then it pops up in here. So I'll stop sharing my screen so you guys can see the printer actually print. And that should start any minute here.
Sorry to interrupt, Kyle. If you are not seeing Kyle's screen in the full expanded mode, simply navigate to his name and double click on the video feed, and that will expand it accordingly for you. All right, a little bit out of view, when Kyle was setting up the art files for us, he had lowered the print head to print home. There are sensors in the printer that allow the printer to stop at the appropriate print height, and then you hit print home on the control panel, and that brings you to basically what we call 0, 0. So right now you see it, and watching the machine print for an extended period of time isn't the best use of time or resources on a call like this. But this print is so fast that we'll let it run, and we'll just kind of talk over it a little bit. All right. So once it's in print home and the machine starts its printing, we're printing 4 coasters in just under 2 minutes. So you have just under 30 seconds a coaster. All right. Comes in at an ink cost of 3 cents. All right. So I think you're able to produce 120 coasters an hour, and when these are done, I'll jump into an ROI example to just show you kind of some of the wonderful tools that are available. Again, when we talk about seeing and understanding how the benefits of a UV printer fit your business, that's where a calculator like that's where sample photos, that's where sample settings, that's where all that type of information can really come in handy. All right. As you see the UV lamp curing the ink on the surface of the material immediately, when those coasters come out of the unit, Kyle can rub his hand over it. He isn't going to smudge the print or anything like that. Kyle, as we wait for the last minute of this product to print, can we grab some of the simple promo item stuff that you have there?
Yeah.
Think phone cases, golf balls, maybe even a bottle.
Yep.
Bottle opener, very easy to print there. That would be one that could be set up the same exact way that Kyle just did with the shape, right? If you have a product drawing, or we even in a pinch have had to scan it, and then you can import the scan and create an outline off of that. Or if it's a unique shape like that, bottle opener or like a fishing lure, things like that, that's where a jig or a custom fixture would really come into play. But the way Kyle set up the art file for the coasters would be the exact same way you would set it up for the bottle openers. Again, there's a printed coaster, a little less than 30 seconds a piece, and that is ready for packaging and moving on. You'll see products like that all the time, not only in boutique types of gift stores, but also on Etsy and as gifts and things like that. So there's really a value to be had there. Kyle, if you would like to move forward and just get the material lined up for our next session, I'm going to share my screen now.
Okay.
And I will get into some of the ROI examples that we have set up for today's session. So as I mentioned, on my screen right now, you should see the example for the coaster, right? We had about 3 cents in ink cost for that machine. And it comes in with a substrate cost of about 25 cents. That's what we purchased the blanks for. There are many times where sometimes a customer, or if you're doing a job for a manufacturer, they would give you the material, and that would be at 0 cost to you. And the great thing about a calculator like this is all of the blue fields are editable fields. So you can simply go in, you could change your size, you can change your selling price, so on and so forth. All right.
Mike, really quickly, it
Yeah.
doesn't look like your screen is up at the moment.
Let me try again.
Yeah, we had it for just a second, then it went away.
Share screen. Better now?
There we go. Thank
Okay,
you.
sorry about that. Thanks for letting me know. So let me back up a little bit real quick. I mentioned the stats for the print already, but the calculator that you now see on your screen, again, apologize for that little discrepancy there. All of the blue fields on the screen are can be edited, right? So this is where you know, selling price per unit and labor costs, things like that, are specific to your business. This calculator allows you to input those types of values. So as we mentioned, just under 30 seconds a coaster. So where you see my cursor here, we're able to do 120 an hour. Simple demand, 600 coasters for a month. You bring that down, you know, at $4 a sell piece, you're printing all 500 coasters in 5 hours of printing with an annual ROI percentage of 150% on just 5 hours of printing. Now you might tell me, Mike, I can't get $4 a print on the coaster because I'm marking those in a wholesale environment. You know, I can only charge, you know, $1 per coaster, and then, you know, my customer will ultimately sell them at a markup from there. Calculator is really easy to do. The print time obviously doesn't change, so you can still produce your 600 coasters, and you see now what happened to our overall percentage. But we could jump that to 1,200, and you start to see the numbers climb. You could jump that to $1.50 a coaster, and you see how quickly the numbers start to change, all while not expanding, not building overall printer demand. You can put a number in here, especially when we're printing 120 coasters in an hour. You can do 5,000 coasters for an order at $1 a coaster, 70% ROI, and you're just in a week's worth of printing. So a calculator like this really starts to analyze and show you what type of price, selling price, what type of print time, and ultimately what your goals and what your benefits are. All right, and you'll see numbers that far outpace this when we get into the texture portion of it, and we have some other samples queued up for you. So a very powerful tool. If you guys have the need for a calculator like this, just let myself or the team at Digital Color know, and we'll be happy to share this with you. There's about 30 different examples in here, all set, and again, all available for complete editing with all of the blue fields you see there. Go ahead and stop my share again. Kyle, if you'd like to open it up, we'll quickly navigate over to our texture 3D printing.
Yep. So you guys can see my screen?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay.
That's good.
So here we have, right now you can't really see the file that we're using, but I'll break it down for you guys. This is what it looks like when you create texture. Let me rotate it. Okay. So I'm going to remove that front. This is actually the print that we're using, the Sublime file. And through our software and what the printer puts out, it's going to automatically raise the darkest areas in your file and then keep the light areas lower. But in this case, we're going to invert that. So now we have the Sublime popping out, the Rome pop out, because those are all the lighter areas. To do that, what you need to do is duplicate your image. That's just Control-D. You'll come over to create this into a bitmap. And there's going to be quite a few steps I'm going through here, guys. Don't get hung up on that. We do have documentation and videos on how to do this exactly. So don't worry about that. And also the technician on install will go over these things.
Yeah, and the great thing about this is Kyle's showing you a way how we do the texture 3D, and it really uses the tonal quality of the image to build what we call peaks and valleys in your different ink height. All right, so as you saw on the coaster, it was very flat, it was very quick to print. Now we will jet more ink to a material where you can not only see the texture effects, but it's something that you can feel as well. It adds big time value to a product. Again, Kyle is showing how easy it is to use the tonal quality of the image on printing that. If you just wanted to simply texture something very quickly, there's also a texture wizard in the software as well. One thing that we always like to highlight this method is just because it shows you how much control you have over a textured print. Go ahead, Kyle.
Great. And just to touch on that real quick again, If you wanted to just create texture to something and you don't want to have any control, you just want to see it's going to grab whatever dark areas are and light areas are, you could just simply prime this file and send it over to a textured print mode. But in this case, we want to show how much control you have over this file. So again, we'll click on this. We rendered it to a bitmap. We can go to image, mode, grayscale. And if you guys can see the darkness in the eye, around the outside, these will all be the highest points. But again, we don't want that, so we can just come to color adjustment, invert, and now we have exactly what we want. And you can even go into further depth and really change the curves of this, it's called. So to find that, you can go to image, color adjustment, curves. And now you have this chart here, and you can start playing with these values until you get exactly what you want, where the really dark areas are. Now the white is really going to pop in this case. So, okay. Now, last step, we need to put it directly over the top of our file that we want textured. So I hold Shift, right click on whatever image we are to create guides, and now I can snap this directly on top. Like that. All right, and transform, render to multi-tone bitmap.
Now
Make
this is
this
usually,
white.
Kyle, this is usually the time in the program where we get questions on, well, you know, why do I want to print texture and why would I want to do things like that?
Exactly.
You know, we are printing a full textured piece here. We understand that, you know, that is something that adds value, and we'll have folks when we do, you know, sessions, you know, at the APA award show, where when folks are adding this type of texture 3D application to a product, they can get upwards of 5 times the ink cost and 5 times material cost for on a retail price. So that's all great, great information to have, and it's great information to share. You also don't have to employ this in a full-fledged print like we're doing right now. We see a lot of folks who will take it and they might just texture a logo. They might texture a few letters. Maybe they only texture the jersey number. So it's a way to add value to a product with relative ease.
Yep, so now we have our file already set up. Because we have a 12 by 24 inch printable area, I'm going to just lay out 2 across the top here. And we're printing to a 12 by 5 inch piece of material going across the top. So I just kind of centered this to whatever 5 inches down would be. So now we can send this over. File, send to RIP. And instead of going to our IR2 default, we're going to send this over to our textured 3D Plus.
And before, when I mentioned that the Texture Plus was a software add-on, that's where that option right there that you see comes into play. The ability to use the texture wizard, the ability to produce these types of peaks and values that we were talking about using the tonal quality of the image, and then all these print cues and all the software settings needed. That's all available with the 1800S as an additional software. Reminder, what we went through earlier with the flat printing, whether it be a photograph or in case of the coasters or golf balls, or the bottle opener that we showed. Again, that's all easy to do right out of the box. So the texture mode, again, is just an added software module. If you have any questions or want further details on what's included with that module, again, either let the team at DCS or Digital Color know, we'd be happy to get you that information.
So that file came
Question?
over. Oh, yep, go for it, Quinn.
Thanks. You'd mentioned bottles. So how are those printed on the printer? Can you print bottles textured?
You can, and we have a couple options that we can show in a moment. You can print bottles 2 ways. You can print it flat on the bed of the material if you're doing small logo imprints, or we have an easy seal attachment, which in essence rolls the bottle. When I cut over and when I grab control back, I can show you guys some photos of what that looks like. But it's very easy. The attachment goes on and off. Actually, last week, Kyle and I did a session where we printed promo items like the coasters, and then within 2 minutes, we were printing bottles. So we kind of showed how easy it was to go from printing a flat product to putting the attachment on, and then loading and printing to those bottles. So it's very easy to do.
Awesome, awesome, great.
So now that our job is in here, one thing I want to cover real quick, guys, is under this print mode column here, it says textured medium. That's how it comes in default. If you wanted to change that, you would right click on the job, replace print mode, and now you have an option for maximum, low, high, medium. If you guys want the highest, obviously you're going to use maximum. Lowest will be low, but also keep in mind with max, you get more ink costs. Lower, you get less ink costs, faster speed. So it's all up to you guys and what you find is good for the cost of material to how much time you want to waste on the file. In the RIP, there's a lot of options that'll give you the middle of the road for speed and quality all over the place. So that's an option for you guys.
Yeah, you might find, Kyle, that folks, will be hard pressed to tell the difference between high and max.
Right.
Now we can tell the difference, right? And we always print in max because we want to show off and we think it's absolutely awesome. There might be times when printing using the high setting is more than enough for your customer. Save a few pennies on the ink cost, save a few seconds or minutes on the overall print time on the job, and away you go. You're moving on to the next one. So those are features in there. You can print the same file, with the 4 different texture modes, so you can show people if you ever wanted to get that to that level of granularity. But when we produce samples, just like that horse painting you see sitting next to the printer, those are always printed in what we call max texture 3D. So Kyle, you can hit print on that when you're ready to rock and roll.
Yep, it's going over.
The 2 pieces that Kyle showed you how easy it was, that kind of sublime music art poster with full texture, will take a complete time of 6.5 minutes, so 3 minutes and 15 seconds a piece, and an ink cost of $1.68 per piece. Now, if you were to go down to the medium texture, again, you're still jetting a sizable amount of ink. The ink cost would decrease to about $1.10 in ink cost. All right. Remember, the coasters that we printed, while much smaller, again, a 3-inch coaster, so a 3-inch circular coaster, to cover that coaster was only 3 cents in ink. And now we've jumped up to $1.68. And I say that just so you can understand how much ink is going down and how much perceived value you're adding to a product. We see a lot of folks use this method in art replications, like that horse painting you see there. If you were to scan down and look down at that guitar image you see there, only the guitar pick is textured. So it's kind of a nice element that not only added value, but it kind of added a different look to it. So very easy to accomplish, and you can kind of adjust and control it as it comes and as it's requested of you from your customers. Again, I'm going to go ahead, share my screen again. One thing I do want to point out to folks is, as you see, the material is only going through the machine at one time. So we're not doing multiple passes here, right? So not only are we using the tonal quality of the image, remember Kyle showed you how easy it was to adjust those curves, right? To either go with the highest elements of certain colors getting the most ink, or the lowest elements getting for a certain color, giving you your valley, so to speak. It's all done in a single pass. It's all done from a single file, right? That was one file that we created in the ColorByte software. You don't have to print layer after layer. You don't have to use 6 different art files and print 8 of the first one, 5 of the second one, 3 of the third one, 15 of the fifth one, 4th or 5th one, so on and so forth. You don't need to go through all that extra setup. It's all done in one process and one print. So while it's taking us 3 minutes to print this file with an ink cost of $1.68 per piece, the operator, the owner, staff members can work on the next project. They can work on the next art design file. They can work on setting up the next jig, filling it, packaging, fabricating. It's very easy to do. So you don't have to worry about printing all these files. Again, it's something that makes the Texture 3D application unique to us. It's one of the reasons why we always refer to it as Texture 3D and just not textured printing. We're using the total quality of the image. We're doing it all in a single pass. We're doing it all from a single file. So as I mentioned, we will jump back to our ROI calculator, right? Just like we did for the coasters. We have our ink cost, remember $1.68 a piece. At 3 minutes and 15 seconds, we're producing 18 of these signs in an hour. All right. We use a projected cost of 150 units. sorry, for a selling price, we have $15. Like I mentioned, it could be upwards of 5 times material and ink cost. The substrate cost on this is very low because we're printing to a piece of aluminum. But if that was a plaque, and that was a $2 plaque, or if it was an economy plaque and it was a little bit bigger, it was a $3 plaque. Now you start to get into something that you could charge much more than just a $15 for. But we are printing to a piece of aluminum. We see a lot of folks print to the aluminum, then they'll affix it to a sign or they'll affix it to an award, but doesn't have to be the case that way. We have a lot of folks that print directly to the material. 150 units a month at 18 in an hour, selling them for $15 a piece. You have an 85% ROI, all in 8 hours of printing, 1 day in a month. Okay, so you wanted to expand that and you had demand for 500 of them. And your plaque was $4, 5 times that, you can sell it for every bit of $20 a plaque. Your ROI is 145% in just under 28 hours of printing. Again, calculators like this, guys, are really powerful, really help understand how the benefits of the machine can equate directly to your business, your demand. When we do signage or ADA Braille sign ROI examples, we can use full hotel projects. And some of the folks say, Mike, I don't have that level of demand at the beginning. You may, but it's just a way to help illustrate how easy it is, how profitable it is with a low print time. Again, 500 texture signs like we're printing right now, or in essence, this could be a plaque with a total product cost of just under $6 between ink and what you're paying for the plaque itself. Sell to a school, an organization, a current job that you have, a current customer that you have, $20 a piece. The numbers are kind of off the charts. Again, all in way less than a week's worth of printing. So again, a tool like this is very powerful. Again, guys, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to let us know. I'm going to share my screen again. We have a couple more minutes on that, and I just want to be able to cover the cylindrical because I know a question came up on that. So Quinn or Kyle, in a second, can you guys just verify that you can see my screen again?
Yep,
Looks good. See your screen, yep.
Okay, so this is the Direct Color Systems website. All of the applications are broken out at the top. You can simply go to bottle printing, golf ball printing. There's a lot of different applications on here. But in terms of this application, you see this roller here? That's this is obviously our larger machine. It's a little bit longer, but on the smaller machine, it sits on there just like that. All right. So it sits on there, the table goes back and forth, and it moves these rollers. Think a hot dog roller effect, and that's what ultimately spins the bottles. Okay. There's the smaller one there. All right. So if you want to see the videos in action, again, directcolorsystems.com. Kyle, let me know when that sign finishes printing, and I'll stop sharing my screen.
Okay.
There's a picture a little bit close up that I wanted to show of the horse painting that you see there, right? It's the same one you see in the backdrop of the machine. All right. We have a great program on our Facebook page right now. It's called Time Trial Tuesdays. Here's one from a couple weeks ago that we just showed the ROI examples for the coasters, for the texture, for things like that. You'll see a lot more types of items like the example you see on the screen here, which is this plaque, not only covered with the times and the ink costs and all those types of things. So Kyle, you can, if that's ready to rock and roll, you can hold that up when it's ready to go. Again, great.
Just finishing up here. It had a little maintenance at the end there.
Let me go ahead. Kyle, do you have the dinosaur skin one handy? Yep. Or the plaque? I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Maybe we can get the camera to pick up some of the really cool texture effects. We're coming up on our time here, and I wanted to run through some of the cool photos that we have. That's a piece there where it isn't full coverage in the texture portion of it. The only portions of that print that are textured are the skin swatches and the letters at the top. So we're able to save on the ink costs and save on the print time, but we're really able to drive it home. So if you see that purple circle on the right there, that's kind of a skin texture that you can feel. So Kyle, if you can just hold it sideways a little bit. There we go, perfect. That's the types of peaks and valleys that we're talking about. The only other item that I definitely want to make sure we show, Kyle, is the state of Louisiana, the clear plaque.
Yep.
Actually, that reminds me, if we could see a sample of the bottle with the texture, that would be great.
Yep. So again, guys, if you need to navigate back to Kyle's screen, just double click on the Kyle Bulldog feed, and that'll make the video enlarge on your screen. The state of Louisiana print that you see is a black print on a gold piece of material. And then in the negative space, we added clearing texture, right? So with the Sublime piece that we just printed, with that dinosaur skin piece that we just showed, that's all full color using the tonal quality of the image. But you can also use clear ink to give nice effects too, where it almost looks like that's an embossed feature. And we did the same thing like this on a bottle.
Yep.
Kyle, if you want to grab that.
Right here. Yep.
It's very easy to do it in clear ink like that, or it's very easy to do something in full color. All right, so again, just think of the way with the photo I showed on our website with the bottle attachment, it mounts to the side of the machine. You would pop the hood open, on and off, one bolt on the side of the machine. And then it almost, as the table moves, it rotates the bottles, the print head scans back and forth, and away it goes.
Just real quick, just to get a view of it, is that in the shot?
Yeah, perfect. So that's the attachment, and that mounts on the side of the machine, guys. So it's key to remember that the direct jet UV printer offers a unique way of creating high value added products, right? We took coasters and we added value to it. We took a piece of aluminum, and when that comes off the machine, it will, you'll see the Sublime photo on that, all from a low cost raw material and adding value to it. Same goes for phone cases, golf balls, bottle openers, bottles like we briefly showed. But as that's finishing up there, I do want to just quickly show you some of the items when we talk about versatility, some of the cool things that we can print. We have a slideshow here that we shared with our internal staff, just because they're not always aware of the wonderful things that come through the doors at DCS either. So with that, we put this together. It's kind of like an aha moment. If you do have any questions or say, hey, can I print on this or can I print on that? Let us know, and we'd be happy to give you our thoughts on it. So in terms of material, you see a lot of the options there. That's not the only options. There's many other products and coatings that we can print to. This next slide is one that I love always talking about, but we do have NDAs in place with a lot of companies and a lot of folks, so I can't share everything. In terms of memorial, the cannabis market, the vape pens, the tap handles, with those markets exploding, you can understand there are a lot of people who want to customize those types of products. And then the two last bullets on the right hand side there, we do have units in Vegas hotels, we do have units in theme parks, not only decorating and producing signs and gifts, but also employee awards and recognition awards as well. So Kyle, looks like that sample's done. Yeah, go ahead, Quinn.
Just to go back to the bottle question, can those be put in the dishwasher?
It depends on the actual bottle itself. Okay. We print to a lot of what I would call low quality bottles, just because we go through them so much of them, Quinn, like at a trade show and stuff. Okay. That bottle actually comes with a label that says do not dishwash, just because the bottle itself will shrink. But when you go to your higher quality bottles, like some of your Triton ones, those are good to wash. We still recommend hand washing. So just follow the manufacturer's recommendation on that. One thing that I always do like to highlight, putting the glass in the dishwasher, that glass and stainless steel tumblers would be hand wash only.
Okay. Makes sense.
But keep an eye on some of what we call low melt plastics, or some of the lower quality bottles. They can tend to shrink once heat hits them.
Gotcha.
So we have somewhat mundane, right? We covered a lot of the stuff: awards, phone cases, and dials, very easy to mark with full color, golf balls and bottles and stuff like that. One thing I would like pointing out on this slide here is you see the outline on the right-hand side where we did the flash drives. That's an option just like Kyle showed you when he printed these circles for the coasters. Again, loading simple promo items like dominoes and flash drives on the bed of the machine adds value instantaneously. It allows you to up the value, like we talked about, of a relatively inexpensive item. All right. Same thing here. This is a slide where I always like to point out the variable data on the right side, right? So those are bottles that we did for a Little League team. All the numbers for small kids, as one would assume, they tend to go in sequential order. But once you get into the higher levels and kids can choose their own number, that's where you would import your variable data. Okay, coasters, ADA signs. Again, if you guys want to see the ADA signage portion of the application, we have videos all over our website. It's one of the most popular applications. It's something that we have 3 patents for. So take a look there, and there's plenty of videos to view. I will stop sharing with this one slide, and this is one that I wanted to get to. This is a rack that we take to trade shows. Okay, everything on this rack has been printed with a singular machine. Wooden boxes, metal signs, metal and plastic water bottles, picture frames, drumsticks, coasters, hockey pucks, frisbees, acrylic awards. That blue square on the bottom is a ceramic tile. Even nestled in the back bottom shelf, you see a beer bottle down there. Okay, so all of this printed on one machine. So when we talk about the versatility, right, we showed the ability to print texture, and I'll cut back to the video screen momentarily. So the ability to print texture, well, how fast it is to print flat promo items like the coasters as well. So again, we went from 30 seconds, a little less than 30 seconds a piece on the coaster, to about 3.5 minutes on the texture piece, to everywhere in between on the items that you see on the screen right there. All right, and that's fully decorated, full color, and on some cases, specifically the phone cases and the tables and the bottles, using variable data to customize with a name or a jersey number. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen. Kyle, if you want to throw up a couple more textured samples that you have there,
Yep.
I'm going to just get my next slides queued up. We promised the folks we'd keep them to no longer than an hour. We're going on 51 minutes based on my clock. So a couple more items and we'll cut people loose for the rest of the day.
Here's a really cool textured file.
The cool thing about that file is only the black portions are raised. So when we talk about giving the color and the ability to have full control over it, only the black portion of that is raised, and it really makes for a unique final application. And people get the feel and the sense that there's a lot more going on in that file than there really is.
And also we have another tapered bottle here.
So while that's not a Yeti mug, it's the same shape as that. That would be used again on our Easy Sill. Printed the whole wrap and the icons all the way around the cup there.
And also we got a pint glass.
Again, Quinn, we'll have to make note, with the questions that we received on the Easy Sill. It's a very easy application. It translates well to a web demo. We have a bunch of videos out there from our virtual expo, but if we wanted to do another live session, Kyle and I have no problem doing that as well.
Awesome, awesome. And we'll keep in touch for that. Awesome. Thank you for letting us know.
And this was on the rack, but this is just a simple metal little frame here that we got from a Joanne Fabrics or a Michaels. It was blank and we just printed right to it.
So Kyle, those are all great samples, and I appreciate you showing them to us, right? We have the textured printing on the back there, the horse painting on the wall. We have textured plaques, we have textured metal. We showed the bottle openers, golf balls, and some of the photos there. But if anybody has any crazy ideas, fire them into the Q&A. We printed on toilet seats, we've printed on headstones, we've printed our fair share of urns. So there's a lot of applications, there's a lot of profitability to be had there. And we hope that today's session not only showed you how easy it is to just kind of quickly go from application to application, but the photos and the samples that we showed, hope that it really kind of, was a good example of the versatility, and all of those things can be printed on one machine. As I mentioned, we do have a bunch of videos on our site, so take a look there. If you have any requests for samples, let the team know at Digital Color Inc. You see their contact information on the screen right now. But without further ado, I know we're coming up against our time here, and we kind of went through our last 3 or 4 minutes relatively quickly. I will leave the session open, so if anyone does have any questions, you can shoot them along. And in closing, I do just want to remind everybody, UV printer offers high benefits. Understanding those benefits and how they relate to your business is the key. Remember, coasters we printed earlier in the session, about 45 minutes ago, 30 seconds a piece. Texture Sublime, like little mini kind of music posters, full texture, 3.5 minutes a piece. All right, and then we showed kind of everywhere in between. So I'll leave this open. I say thank you to everyone for joining us. We hope everyone stays safe. Quinn, I have the contact information up there for the team at Digital Color. I'll make sure that the recording is available. And if you do have any questions, let us know, guys, and we appreciate everyone joining today.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And on behalf of both of us, again, we would just want to say thank you for taking the time to join us today. And we hope that you were able to get something out of this session. I definitely did. It's a lot more versatile than I thought it was. So it's great to see all of the examples that you were able to show, just to get a sense of what that printer can do. Absolutely. And again, if anybody needs samples, then we can definitely, we have no problem getting samples out to you all. We'd be happy to do it. And Michael and Kyle, thank you so much again for today's session. It was very great, and we really look forward to working with you guys again in the future.
Thanks, Quinn. We
everyone.
appreciate it. Awesome that everyone does, took time out of their day to join. We understand that it's kind of a wild time. So thanks again for joining, and stay safe out there, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.